Why you hate vegetables as a kid, then suddenly start loving them. As a kid, vegetables felt like punishment. Broccoli smelled weird, onions ruined everything, and anything green automatically belonged in the gross category. But then something strange happens as you grow older. The same foods you once pushed to the side suddenly become comforting, flavorful, and even crave-worthy. So, what changes? It's not just maturity. Your body, brain, and taste buds are literally evolving. Your taste buds calm down. One of the biggest reasons children dislike vegetables is because their taste buds are far more sensitive than those of adults. Can taste overwhelmingly bitter to a child. Vegetables such as broccoli and cauliflower contain natural compounds that create bitter flavors. What adults may describe as earthy or fresh, kids often experience as harsh, sharp, or simply disgusting. Thousands of years ago, bitterness in nature often signaled poisonous plants or unsafe foods. Their bodies evolved to react strongly to bitter tastes as a form of protection. Sweet foods, on the other hand, usually indicated safe, high-energy sources like fruits and breast milk. Vegetables without even giving them a fair chance. As people grow older, however, the bitterness that once felt overpowering slowly becomes weaker. This does not happen overnight, but gradually over many years. A teenager who hated spinach, someone who once refused broccoli, might begin craving roasted broccoli with garlic and olive oil. Experience also plays a major role in changing taste preferences. The more often people try certain foods, the more familiar those flavors become. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect, meaning people tend to enjoy things more after experiencing them repeatedly. In other words, vegetables stop feeling strange and start feeling normal. Taste is not only about the tongue. It is deeply connected to memory and emotion. Children often associate vegetables with being forced to clean their plate, or being told they cannot leave. Those negative experiences create resistance. They choose recipes they enjoy, and prepare foods in ways that match their preferences. In addition, children usually prefer simple tastes, like sweetness and saltiness, because those flavors provide immediate satisfaction. Adults become more comfortable with bitterness, spice, sourness, and richer combinations of flavor. This is why many adults enjoy coffee, dark chocolate. Vegetables fall into the same category. Once the palate matures, bitterness no longer feels offensive. It becomes interesting and enjoyable. The way vegetables are prepared also matters tremendously. Many people remember childhood vegetables as boiled, mushy, bland, or soggy. Later in life, people encounter roasted vegetables, grilled vegetables, stir-fries, fresh salads, and dishes seasoned with herbs, garlic, cheese, or sauces may never have experienced before. Ultimately, the reason taste buds calm down is a combination of biology, experience, and maturity. But adults slowly lose that extreme sensitivity and become more open to new flavors. Your brain starts associating vegetables with feeling good. As children, most people choose food based almost entirely on immediate pleasure and fat because those ingredients activate the brain's reward system quickly and intensely. Candy tastes exciting, fries feel comforting, and desserts create instant happiness. Vegetables, on the other hand, rarely provide that same immediate reward. They can taste bitter, plain, or unfamiliar, which makes children view them as boring or unpleasant. At a young age, the brain focuses more on short-term enjoyment than long-term benefits. As people grow older, however, instead of focusing only on taste in the moment, the brain starts paying attention to the aftereffects of eating. Over time, many adults notice patterns in how they feel after meals. Heavy fast food may taste satisfying at first, but it can also leave a person feeling tired, sluggish, bloated, or uncomfortable afterward. In contrast, meals containing vegetables often leave people feeling lighter, more energized, and healthier overall. The brain starts connecting vegetables with positive physical experiences. This process is known as associative learning. If eating vegetables repeatedly leads to feeling good, the brain slowly begins rewarding those choices. A salad that once seemed boring can eventually become associated with energy and freshness. Roasted vegetables may begin to feel comforting instead of forced. the brain essentially rewires its perception of vegetables. Based on repeated positive experiences, mental and emotional health also play a role, and nutrients that support brain function, digestion, and overall wellness. Adults may notice improved focus, mood, sleep. Once the brain realizes that vegetables contribute to feeling better physically and emotionally, the dislike many people had as children often starts to fade. Another important factor is independence. Parents may force kids to finish their vegetables before leaving the table or use vegetables as a symbol of discipline. Because of this, vegetables become emotionally connected to control and conflict rather than enjoyment. Choosing vegetables no longer feels like obedience, it feels like self-care. That shift in mindset completely changes the experience. Lifestyle changes also strengthen the brain's positive associations with vegetables. As adults become more focused on fitness, health, energy, appearance, or productivity, vegetables begin fitting into personal goals. A person trying to exercise regularly or improve their health may feel proud after eating nutritious meals. The brain starts treating vegetables as part of success, discipline, and well-being rather than punishment. Eventually, vegetables stop being the food you have to eat and become the food that helps you feel your best. The change does not happen instantly, but through repeated experiences, the brain learns to connect vegetables with positive outcomes. Because the brain has learned that healthy foods often lead to a healthier, happier life, the way vegetables are cooked changes everything. For many people, the reason they hated vegetables as children had less to do with the vegetables themselves and more to do with the way they were prepared. Overcooked, soggy foods with little flavor or texture, mushy peas, boiled Brussels sprouts, watery spinach. When vegetables are cooked poorly, leaving behind strong smells and bitter flavors that cooking methods have a powerful effect on taste. The same vegetable can taste completely different depending on how it is prepared, but roasted broccoli with olive oil, garlic, and spices develops a crispy texture and a slightly sweet flavor. Brussels sprouts that are boiled can become soft and unpleasant, while roasted Brussels sprouts turn caramelized. These changes happen because heat transforms. As children, many people are not exposed to creative cooking techniques, like boiling or microwaving vegetables, because they are convenient, while practical, that make vegetables enjoyable. Adults, however, are more likely to encounter vegetables prepared in restaurants, social gatherings, cooking videos, or homemade recipes that use seasoning, sauces, herbs, and modern cooking styles. Seasoning also plays a major role in making vegetables appealing. Vegetables on their own may taste mild or bitter, but ingredients like garlic, butter, lemon, cheese, olive oil, pepper, soy sauce, or herbs can dramatically improve flavor. Many adults eventually realize that vegetables do not need to be eaten plain to be healthy. A well-seasoned vegetable dish can be just as satisfying and flavorful as other comfort foods. Mushy, or inconsistent, or tenderness in a way that makes them far more enjoyable. For example, raw carrots provide a crunchy texture that many children like more than soft-cooked carrots. Similarly, creating a more satisfying eating experience. As adults gain more control over their food choices, they love stir-fried vegetables in Asian cuisine. Instead of seeing vegetables as one boring category of food, cultural exposure also contributes to this change. Different cuisines around the world use vegetables in creative and flavorful ways. Into deeply flavorful meals, Mexican, Thai, and Middle Eastern foods. These experiences help adults understand that vegetables are not naturally unpleasant. They simply require good preparation. Ultimately, the way vegetables are cooked changes everything because flavor. Many children dislike vegetables not because vegetables are inherently bad, but because they were introduced to them in unappealing ways. Satisfying meals that they genuinely enjoy eating. Your palate becomes more sophisticated. One of the most fascinating reasons people begin enjoying vegetables as they grow older is that their palate becomes more sophisticated, predictable, and immediately rewarding. Sweet flavors, salty snacks, and familiar comfort foods dominate childhood preferences because the brain naturally or complex flavor combinations often feel overwhelming or unpleasant to younger eaters. Vegetables frequently fall into this complex flavor category. Many vegetables contain earthy, bitter, sour, or strong natural compounds that children not yet comfortable experiencing. Foods like kale, spinach, asparagus, onions, or Brussels sprouts can seem strange, rather than instantly sweet or salty, because their palates are still developing and they prefer flavors that feel safe and familiar. Adults gradually become more open to stronger, deeper, and more complicated flavors. This shift does not happen suddenly, but develops through repeated exposure to different foods and experiences. Over time, the palate learns to appreciate flavor combinations that once seemed unpleasant or confusing. This change can be seen in many foods beyond vegetables. Dark chocolate is another example. While adults often appreciate the richer and slightly bitter flavor of dark chocolate, and sushi are also commonly disliked by children but enjoyed later in life, vegetables follow the same pattern. A sophisticated palate means that a person no longer judges food based only on sweetness or immediate pleasure. Instead, they begin noticing balance, texture, aroma, freshness, and complexity. Adults start appreciating how bitterness can complement sweetness or how acidity can brighten a dish. The slight bitterness of arugula, the sweetness of roasted carrots, or the earthiness of mushrooms can become satisfying because the palate has matured enough to enjoy subtlety. Experience plays a major role in this development. The more foods people try, the more comfortable they become with unfamiliar tastes. Traveling, eating at restaurants, watching cooking shows they may never have encountered as children. What once seemed strange slowly becomes interesting and enjoyable. Adults are often surrounded by people who enjoy diverse foods and cuisines. Friends, co-workers, or social media may introduce them to vegetable dishes prepared in exciting ways. As adults become more curious about food culture, they begin viewing vegetables not as healthy obligations, but as flavorful ingredients that can create delicious meals. Another reason: sophistication. Children often make instant decisions about whether they like something after a single bite. Adults are more willing to give foods multiple chances and explore different preparations, exposure, and experience. Vegetables no longer seem like punishment. They become part of a richer appreciation for flavor itself. As the palate matures, people discover that some of the most satisfying foods are not the sweetest or simplest. Many people believe their food preferences are completely personal, but in reality, social influence has a powerful effect on what we choose to eat and enjoy. Not only because their taste buds change, around them shape their attitudes toward food. From family habits to social media trends, society quietly influences how vegetables are viewed throughout different stages of life. As children, eating habits are heavily influenced by family dynamics and peer behavior. If siblings complain about vegetables at the dinner table, younger children often copy that reaction. In schools, vegetables are sometimes treated as the boring or unwanted part of a meal. Children quickly learn social cues about food. They are more likely to develop negative attitudes toward them as well. Vegetables are often presented as obligations rather than enjoyable foods. Many children hear phrases like, "Eat your vegetables before dessert," or "You can leave the table after you finish your broccoli," must suffer through in order to earn foods they actually enjoy. Pressure and punishment instead of pleasure. As people grow older, however, their social environment begins to change, and experiences that reshape their perception of food. Restaurants, cooking shows, fitness communities, trendy and desirable. Suddenly, salads are no longer viewed as boring side dishes, but as fresh, healthy meals filled with flavor and creativity. Social influence becomes especially strong through health and wellness culture. Adults often see athletes, platforms like Instagram, TikTok, smoothie bowls, grilled vegetables, and creative recipes that make healthy eating look appealing rather than restrictive. Seeing others enjoy vegetables normalizes the behavior and encourages people to try them themselves. Someone may begin eating more vegetables because their partner cooks healthy meals, their coworkers order salads for lunch, or their friends enjoy trying new restaurants with vegetable-based dishes. Humans naturally imitate social behavior because fitting into a group creates comfort and connection. Travel and cultural exposure further expand people's opinions about vegetables. Mediterranean, Asian, Indian, and Middle Eastern cuisines often use herbs, spices, sauces, and cooking techniques that completely transform vegetables into exciting meals. Assumptions about vegetables being bland or boring. There is also a psychological effect known as social proof, where people assume something has value if others around them value it. If healthy eating becomes associated with success, people are more likely to adopt those habits themselves. Vegetables gradually become connected to positive lifestyles and identities rather than childhood struggles. Ultimately, food preferences are not created in isolation. They are shaped by families, friendships, culture, media, and society as a whole. As people grow older and enter environments where vegetables are viewed positively, their attitudes begin to change, and even enjoyable, part of everyday life because the social meaning attached to vegetables has transformed. One of the biggest reasons people begin naturally change with age. For most children, eating is mainly about pleasure, comfort, and immediate satisfaction. Kids rarely think about nutrition. They choose foods based on what tastes the sweetest, saltiest, or most exciting in the moment. They are often viewed as boring or unnecessary. Adults become more aware of the connection between what they eat and how they feel physically and mentally. Energy levels, digestion, weight, sleep, concentration. This shift in priorities changes the role vegetables play in everyday life. Many adults start noticing the consequences of unhealthy eating. Sugary snacks can cause energy crashes and mood changes. As responsibilities increase with work, school, relationships, and daily stress, adults often realize they cannot rely solely on convenience foods and still feel their best. They begin seeking foods that support their health and help them function better throughout the day. Vegetables naturally become more appealing during this stage because they are strongly associated with wellness and self-care, or simply feel better overall. Adults begin valuing the benefits food provides. Vegetables stop being judged only by flavor and start being appreciated for how they contribute to physical and mental well-being. Health concerns also become more real with age. Children rarely think about blood pressure, cholesterol, heart disease, or long-term illness because those problems feel distant and irrelevant. Adults, however, seeing family members struggle with medical conditions or hearing advice from doctors can motivate people to make healthier decisions. Another major change is that adults begin prioritizing productivity and performance. A child may not care whether food improves focus or energy, but adults often do, and maintain stamina throughout busy schedules. Vegetables provide nutrients that support these goals. Emotional priorities shift as well. As adults mature, many begin viewing healthy eating as an act of self-respect and discipline rather than restriction, because it aligns with personal goals related to health. About intentionally taking care of oneself, meal planning, and cooking choices, they can experiment with recipes and choose foods that fit their personal values and health goals. A disliked requirement imposed by parents. Ultimately, priorities shift with age because people begin caring more about long-term well-being than short-term cravings. Childhood focuses on immediate enjoyment, while adulthood often emphasizes health, energy, and quality of life. Instead, they become important tools for feeling healthier, stronger, and more balanced in everyday life. The shift from hating vegetables as a child to enjoying them. Your taste buds become less sensitive, and better cooking methods reveal flavors you never experienced before. At the same time, your palate grows more open to complex tastes. What once felt like punishment slowly transforms into something beneficial, and eventually even enjoyable. Vegetables do not change the way you experience them does. As you grow older, you stop judging them only by immediate taste and start understanding their value in how they make you feel and how they support your life. In the end, liking vegetables is less about forcing yourself to change and more about naturally growing into a version of yourself that appreciates them.